Okay, welcome. Welcome to the Maximum Mom podcast today. I am Elise Buie, your host, and I am here with Nicole Loughlin. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Yay! Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate having you.
No, thank you for having me.
Well, and we are here today. It is Monday, February 28th, and I just have to get out there in the world. I mean, Nicole and I just talked about it, and I, of course, wasn't thoughtful enough to even think to tell her that I did not record this part, but I really just want to just acknowledge that, I mean, our world is kind of going crazy today. And so this is, a really kind of difficult day, I think, for a lot of people as we look at what's going on in the Ukraine and just how that is impacting an entire country and families and, on this dealing with COVID for so long. I mean, Nicole and I were both just talking about, just how really difficult it is to look at all that, see all that. And though we all, really are looking at it from a place of privilege and safety in most instances, it is really hard. And so I kind of just wanted to acknowledge that is kind of where we all are today. But again, Nicole, I do appreciate you coming and meeting with us. Can you first just tell us a little bit about your professional background, and then we will get into our questions.
Yeah, thank you. So I am an estate planning and probate attorney, and I also do personal injury plaintiff's work in Florida. My office is in Boca Raton, and I have been on my own as a solo practitioner, or as the only attorney in my practice since 2018. I was licensed in 2013. I went to St. Thomas University School of Law. I took the bar while pregnant with my first child in 2013. And I passed the first time because I knew that was the only that was the only option during that time. And prior to that, my undergrad, I graduated from the University of South Florida in Tampa. I went to Florida State University for the first year, 2 years. It's where I met my husband, and we were in different places in college, and he was going off to take a professional job at the start of his career. And he was going to end up in Tampa, Florida. And so I decided that I was going to move to Tampa, although at the time I told him it was like for a variety of reasons, because we were just dating. But he was going to be moving to St. Louis for about 6 months and training. I was like, well, maybe when you get back, I'll be in Tampa anyways, and we can continue this. And that's what I did. Tampa was not too far from my home. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, St. Thomas, where you went, is that in Florida or is that in Minnesota?
It's in Florida. It's in Miami.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. I do think there is a St. Thomas in Minnesota as well. And so I was super curious. I was like, that would have been a big weather switch for you.
But yeah, I don't honestly, at the time I thought going to Miami, because I had received some scholarship to go there, and I really wanted to stay in Tampa. I was waitlisted at Stetson, which,
oh yeah,
it blew my mind because it was so part of my plan, that I was going to end up I was going to stay in Tampa. That's where my boyfriend at the time, where his job was. There was no way that we were going to end up in Miami. But anyway, we did. And it ended up being one of the very best decisions I ever made, because it changed the trajectory of my future.
I love that. That is awesome. I mean, to be open to that type of, real change when it's not what you're planning, that's a big deal. And I mean, kudos to you for kind of allowing that openness to turn into such an opportunity and something positive. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, like, it always works out, and so, and I feel like the bigger, the more you don't want to do something, I feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Isn't that the truth? I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute because
Yeah.
I so agree with you on that. Well, tell us a little bit about your family. I mean, we know you moved to Tampa and we know that actually worked out in the long run. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, that was another decision like that. So I'm married. I've been married for 10 years, but I met my husband in college. We started dating in 2005. So we've been together for a long time. We got married while I was in law school. I actually did a summer abroad in my 2L year. And during that summer abroad, after the courses ended, my husband flew out to Spain, met me in Spain, and then we flew to Italy and we got married in Italy.
Wow.
And it's funny because we're both kind of introverted. I would say I'm more extroverted than him, but we didn't really want to have a big,
Sure.
so we decided that, and financially too, it just made sense because I was already there. And so it was just one more plane ticket over. And we flew my parents out there and we got married in Italy, moved to Boca, and then that's where we live now. I have 3 kids. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-month-old, but he'll be 5 months old tomorrow.
You have your hands full, girl.
Yes, I do.
You really do. I love that though. I mean, congrats on the 5-month birthday coming up tomorrow. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going by just as fast as I knew it would.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that the truth? It just
Yeah,
flies by.
it does.
It really does.
And we were talking about the baby. I called him, he's 4 months old until he turns 5 months old tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm squeezing every bit out of every age that I
absolutely.
possibly can.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no reason to grow them up faster than they grow up on their own, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, tell us a little bit about your practice and what, kind of what your passion is and what drove you to do this estate planning practice and personal injury. I don't know that I realized you did both. That's kind of an interesting mix.
Yeah, well, it started when I graduated law school, as I was pregnant. I was pregnant when I took the bar and passed. And so I had taken some time to be home with my daughter. I was living initially I was living kind of a little bit of a stay-at-home mom
Mm-hmm.
life. But we knew it had to end because I had all these student loans, right?
Right.
So eventually, I found a job. I had applied everywhere. There were no jobs.
Right.
I found a job with somebody who was just in need of somebody part-time, and
Mm-hmm.
he was very family first. So I was so fortunate right out of law school
Yeah.
that I started to work for somebody who had 3 daughters of his own. He had a lot of women in his life. He understood family life, and he really encouraged me to work, kind of dip my toes in, not to
Right.
jump in full time and take on too much. And so when I started with him, he did a variety of civil cases, but he really had thrown me into this area of estate planning and probate. I don't know if he knew that my personality was right for it, or if it just was convenience that I was interested in it and he had the work. So I was doing that. But he himself was a 30-year trial attorney, and he had been a defense attorney for much of that time until he switched over and was doing plaintiff's work. So I was learning from him the plaintiff side of his practice. And he always knew that, I wanted to learn that. He knew that I had, he would say, you have the right stuff to do this kind of work. But he also knew that I wanted to really balance that with home life. So that's why those practice areas really fit me. Because I have the kind of predictability and the flexibility to work on estate planning and probate.
Totally.
But I also kind of have the grit and, what it takes to, work a plaintiff's case as well. So, yeah.
That is awesome. How lucky for you to have a mentor like that early on in your career who did understand that balance, that life work integration you were trying to achieve.
Yeah, there was a time when he had his practice was transitioning because he had a goal for retirement. And so there were some bigger clients that were, he was parting ways with some bigger clients. And I remember at that time thinking that, oh my gosh, he needs me to step up because, these particular clients meant so much to the practice. And so I told him that I was willing to, go more, be more full-time, put more into the firm. And he was like, no, he said, you can do as much or as little as you want to. And he was just so supportive of that. And eventually, he was, before the pandemic, he had decided one year, he had gone on vacation because they vacationed every summer. He decided that he wasn't really going to come back full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he left the practice kind of running and he worked remotely. And I went into the office on an as needed basis. And when I had my second child, because coming back to the office required him to get in the car and drive, I think 8-9 hours, he was just very much take the baby, go to the office with the baby. He's like, right. If we had a deposition, take the baby, whatever it was. He was just very, flexible in that regard.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. Well, I mean, talking about that and thinking about, taking babies to depositions. And I mean, I definitely brought my first baby, I was clerking for a federal judge. And I mean, she would come to the court with me. I mean, I had to go back to work very early after giving birth. And I mean, I don't even know that there was any kind of maternity leave policy at the time. I mean, I'm way older. So it was like, in the 90s. And I just brought her in her little bucket and she would come to many a day in federal court. And, I just used to tell my judge, I was like, don't use the gavel, like, just don't wake her up, like, she was fine asleep in her little, those little car seats, I called them buckets. She was perfectly happy, but as long as that gavel wasn't banging. Well, let's talk about, tell us, because you are really in the throes of this now. You are managing your own firm. You have 3 children and not like old self-sufficient driving children. You have 3 young children who need you. What are the challenges you face? You are like in the midst of that ultimate trifecta where you are practicing law, actually doing the legal work, you are managing and growing a firm, and you are a mom. What are the challenges that you are dealing with?
Yeah, I would say
even have enough time today to discuss them all.
Well, I think that is just scheduling. Everything is scheduling, right? We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So we have to make the best use of them. And so I live by my schedule. It does take a lot of energy to coordinate. What I found because I'm in a period of growth in my practice, and I'm also kind of in this chaotic period at home. What I found is just like radically normalizing parenting at work, which thankfully the pandemic has already kind of helped with that. But I told you pre-pandemic, I was kind of doing that too, and you were too, trailblazing. So, I think that that's important, is to say that, where the bar says we're attorneys 24/7, we're also parents 24/7. We can't turn either one of them on and off when it's convenient. So we just have to accept that this is going to be part of it. And I think, coming to terms with that and being confident enough to serve clients, knowing that it's a possibility that, up until a couple of weeks ago, I would have a baby here sitting on my lap, and sometimes you'd see a little arm pop up or something like that. And that's how I managed. And I didn't take a maternity leave really like you would think of a traditional maternity leave, because I'm, the leader of, who's going to step into my shoes and continue on. So just kind of have to figure that out. So scheduling is everything. You have to be really diligent about prioritizing, not just client meetings and things for the kids, but time to think and focus on the practice, time for coaching. I have a standing reservation every day that's called Loughlin Kids. And that is when I'm supposed to kind of start turning off at the firm and leaving to go and get the kids, which I couldn't do without my husband. Like, I'm not doing all this alone. I have a partner who is really, really involved, and definitely carries his weight in terms of childcare.
Right.
So that's sort of how I'm managing. I don't think that I'm doing any of it really well. I would say that I'm pretty okay at just about everything.
Well, I love though, one, that you're just able to admit that, just to say like, I'm okay at everything, because I really think that's about where you can be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. I mean, it is solidly 3 full-time jobs. I mean, to be a practicing attorney, like doing the actual work of the law, is a full-time job. Managing a law firm is a full-time job. And being a parent of 3 children under 8 and under is a full-time job. Like,
yeah,
it's okay is great,
So I'll tell you, it's hard. It is hard for me to admit to being okay because I'm a perfectionist,
Sure.
as many of us are. If we're attorneys, we are type A. We
Yep.
love to control all the outcomes and predict and all of that. I'll say this, that in my practice, and especially during my pregnancy last year and during the pandemic, I really became obsessed with automation and systems, and really trying to say, okay, we know that come October, you're going to have a baby. And what does that mean for you? And what does that mean for, growing this practice? Because I did not want to lose momentum. I knew I could step back, turn it off, leave it, pick it back up, because I created it. I could do it again, but I really didn't want to lose any momentum. So I really focused my energy on creating a very systemized practice.
That was brilliant. That was so brilliant on your part. I mean,
Yeah.
really, it is. And so forward thinking for your firm too, to take something like the birth of the child, which you knew was coming, and as much control as we can have. We have a general idea, if all things work out well, when the child is coming, within a range. So it's a perfect opportunity to build out systems to be prepared for such an event. I mean, I think that was just genius on your part.
Well, thank you. I think I really was looking at 2 options. I was looking at, 3 options. And the first option being, keep doing the same thing, turn it off, take some time, come back. Babies are only young once, and all of that, which I love, but I want it all, right? I want to do it all. I want to have it all. So my other 2 options were to either, really run with technology and throw myself into that, or start hiring people to take the load off. And the reason I went with the technology, quite honestly, is because I thought it would be easier. I thought it would be easier to manage the technology than it would be to introduce all kinds of new people into my practice. And I wanted to have, because I really believe in having a good, solid foundation, and before introducing people. But that's not to say that I don't have help, because I have, I think, 4 support staff, team members who do very specific roles in my practice. None of them are full-time. And I think that helps me to really run a very lean and efficient practice, because everybody knows just exactly what they're supposed to do. There's not like a catch-all role, where there's somebody other than me that has it all up in their head. So everything, through my systems kind of trickles down to the right person And then I am, of course, still, the one who's meeting with clients, doing all the consults, and also, you know, finalizing all the legal work.
Right. Well, I mean, we could do an entire segment on systems. I mean, I just think systems are, I mean, absolutely the way to go. And for you to be thinking about putting the systems in place prior to bringing on the people, again, was genius, because once the systems are in place and you can get all that stuff that is still in your head, which no doubt you have stuff still in your head, not written down somewhere, until you can download all that, and then you can start hiring more people, then they have things to go on. They know what they should be doing. It's now out of your head and it's written down and it's automated in such a way. And I mean, you have the potential to just, I mean, explode in your growth. I mean, it's really kind of this amazing, I mean, it's this like, the metaphor with you're having a baby and the baby goes through all this like massive development. I mean, so have you and your firm. I mean, it's really kind of brilliant and genius, and kind of, the synchronicity of it all is really cool.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. I mean, I knew, I had this
Yeah.
feeling that it was going to be, this is my Renaissance period,
Right.
So I really had to come up with a way to like make it all work so that I wasn't just, what I didn't want to do is just completely fall back on my husband and
Right.
say, yeah, you're very fortunate in a 2-income household that I could have if I wanted to, just said, I want to take some time back, put everything on pause. But I didn't want to do that. And truthfully, my husband had been carrying the financial burden for a long time before I really, found my stride in my
Yeah.
practice. So I really wanted to continue on with that.
I just think that's wonderful. I mean, it is so impressive. Well, tell us also, I mean, it's hard to even ask this question, somebody like you who is really in the thick of all this. I mean, what do you do that is kind of your unicorn space, your creative outlet? I mean, I know you have kind of a fancy for Disney, Audible and audiobooks. I mean, what else? What do you do? Like, how do you get your creative side out?
So I think that I really enjoy the business side of running the practice.
Mhm.
I found that is something that, when you become a business owner, you think, oh, I'm going to free up my time and I'm going to have all this flexibility and things are going to be so different. And it's like, it is different,
It
but
is different.
you're putting in the hours, but it's more because you want to, not
Yep.
because it's being demanded of you.
Yep.
So I really do enjoy that creative. So I think in a way, even though it was strategic to, build out, my systems and automation and all of that, I really enjoyed it. And so I put myself into it because I really liked it. Other than that, you got me. I love going to Disney. I love when I'm feeling overwhelmed or feeling like I'm just not able to take a break, I will sit down, and I'm also a travel agent, so I will, but only for myself. I will
Oh,
I will plan a trip, and that, having something, to kind of hold on to, and look forward to is really nice.
oh yeah.
Um, I'm also a realtor, and so I like to, I haven't something I thought in 2020 it would be a great time to become a real estate investor. I was wrong, obviously, about that, but I'm still kind of learning,
Right.
with that. And so I'm very hopeful, about what the future, brings with that. So I have that. But really truthfully, like I enjoy just staying in my pajamas on the weekends, watching movies with my kids, um, you know, not having to do anything at all.
Right.
which I know I was reading your post recently about the spa and things,
Oh,
spa robes.
oh, girl, I am telling you, all things are less stressful in a bathrobe. I mean, it was game changing. The whole place walks around in their bathrobe. I've never been to a place like this. Like you go to breakfast and the whole restaurant is in their bathrobe.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, it's the wildest thing. And you get these, I mean, they're cozy bathrobes and cozy slippers. And you can go to the spa and it's got this indoor, outdoor Greek looking pool that's all heated to like 90 degrees. So even though there was snow all on the mountains, I mean, it was really extraordinary. There are saunas and steam rooms and the nap room. They have a nap room. You just go in there and with your book and you can just fall asleep. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I could totally get into my life at the spa.
Yeah. Well, we're not really physically at a spa. We just stay in our
Yeah.
pajamas. I do.
Well, it works. It
My
absolutely works.
My, oh, oh, I hit something on my earphones. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, good. My husband, he likes to get out on the weekends and go and do chores and go to the grocery store and do things like that. I am very opposed to doing that. I don't like grocery shopping. So we, that's kind of that's on his, to-do list
Right.
for the weekends. But yeah, so staying at home, watching movies. I like Star Wars and Marvel. So for my little son, like we love to just kind of veg out and watch hours of cartoons and superhero movies.
Right.
So we
That's
do a lot of
awesome.
that.
That is so awesome. Well, you do sound though like somebody who's got, I mean, such a high quick start. Have you ever taken the Colby test?
No.
Oh, you should take it. I bet you are a super high quick start. Somebody who literally starts their law firm, they get the real estate license, they're a travel agent. Like, I mean, you are somebody who just obviously is a real entrepreneur at heart, who just
Yes.
enjoys all of that type of just creativity in the entrepreneurial world.
Yes. I think that I would be doing a lot more of it if I wasn't, in the
Right.
thick of raising little ones, because in some ways I feel like, I could spend all my time just starting projects.
Oh,
and yeah, so it's good for me to, like I said, to be more strategic, to have like a 5-year plan, to have,
Right.
an ultimate, we talk about having like a vision and a mission for the law firm or whatever your business is, having that for yourself personally as well. And,
Right.
trying to build a life around that vision.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do
So
you ever do vision boarding? Have you ever created a vision board for yourself?
yes. Oh, I love doing it. I do it in such a type A way that I'm looking at it right now. Actually, I can't really share. I can't turn the screen to share it with you, but I actually go and I get pictures and I print them, but not like on my printer. Like I send them to the drugstore to have them printed on photo paper.
Yeah.
And like I create in Canva little like graphics of like the revenue I want for the firm, just keywords that I want. So I'm not really like getting a bunch of magazines and newspapers and clipping things out. I'm like using the entire internet to kind of figure out like what I want. And then I print them out and I peg them to the board.
That is awesome. You and
Yeah.
I sounds like we have very similar. I don't do the printing though, I have to tell you, but I do. I mean, I have my vision boards right here as well, and I, keep track of them. And I always have 4 years up at a time, so I can see what I've accomplished. That really helps me.
Yeah.
When I can look back at my past vision boards and see things that have come true, or that we've accomplished in a year or 2 years or, sometimes 3 years. But it's pretty powerful, I think, to really look back and see what you've done. Have you ever read that book? I think it's called like The Gap and the Gain.
No, I have not, but you are not the first person to recommend that to me. So it's on my reading list.
Oh, good. It is a really great book. And it really helps, I think, with that mindset of, because, I mean, somebody like you remind me of me just constantly looking like, how can you get better? How can you fix your mindset? What goals do you have? You can spend all this time looking forward and never feeling content because you always have bigger goals. So do you know what I mean? Like even when you reach a goal, you've likely already moved the guidepost, and so there's something else you're striving to do. Whereas in this book, it really helps you to learn to look back and see what in fact you have accomplished so that you're living more in the gain of what you've accomplished rather than in the gap of what you're striving to do. And it was really a massive mind shift for me to do that. And it's been really helpful to really take inventory. I mean, I try to do it monthly, quarterly, like in our firm, because it's so easy to find the problems with what's happening and not look back and say, well, look at all the successes we've had.
Yeah. No, I am an avid, I'm in the peloton cult, as they say. So, but there's something that Robin, one of the instructors, always says is remember when you used to wish for this, whatever it is, or it's something she said, more beautifully and articulate than I just did. But it does kind of remind you that, can you imagine 10 years ago that this is where you are at? And, it's just,
so true.
Yeah, and I remember when I used to wish for this. And I also, there's something in Think and Grow Rich, I guess one of the major takeaways is that you write down, on an index card or wherever, something, you read it in the morning and right before you go to sleep. And so I have taken that and expanded it to every year before January, I write out all my yearly goals. This is also a Jack Canfield thing too, because I read one year the goals that Jack Canfield, he's the one who wrote Chicken Soup. Yes, right.
Yeah. Success.
He had
yeah.
Yes, all of these major goals. And I was like, how does this person complete all of that in 1 year? And so I started to take, combine those, and I write out cards that this is what I want personally. This is my big overall goal for the next 5 years. This is my, put your health goals, your all of these things, professional investments, things like that. And I write them all down. And then instead of reading the cards every night, I just take a picture of them and put them in OneNote. And I read on my phone, every single night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I do that twice a day, when I wake up in the morning and when I go to sleep. And I've also, John Fisher, our attorney, so The Power of a System, he's also last year started a group for streaking. And so I took that concept where I read those goals from Think and Grow Rich twice a day. So I now put that in a streak. So every day I have to check it off, which is a task that attorneys love to do. We love checking things off.
Yep.
So that's one of my streaks, is to, read those in the morning and at night, but also be accountable. When I was in the hospital with my having a baby, I missed my nightly reading, and I started over. I started a new streak, and because
Wow, that's amazing. I love that idea. That is such a great idea. I mean, does it help you feel very connected to those goals, reading them like that?
Yes, I think it does. I think also it's just habit building, to just kind of exercise the muscle to stay on track. Are there some nights that I'm reading it without feeling it and thinking it? Yes, because it's it's
Sure.
it's one thing I have to do before I close my eyes. It's just like brushing your teeth, right? But I think it does. And I think that repetition is so important. And so even if you're not feeling it every single time that you're doing it, and it
Mhm.
doesn't feel like it's making a big difference and it's not changing your life, I think just having that one little habit in the next 15, 20 years will have made all the difference.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Oh, I think it would be huge. I just love that idea. I really do. I think that is such a great idea. I really appreciate you sharing that. I mean, I love getting really good ideas from other people who are just, I don't know, doing cool things and taking what you've learned and really assimilating it into your own life. I mean, I think that's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I mean, I have all of these little little things, like I think they're quirky habits, but all of these things that I do privately, I think really contribute,
Yeah.
to my success. And I'm still on like this, upward path, this growth. I'm not where I'm meant to be yet, but I think all of these little things are gonna, it's like being in the fast lane.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and I think we're all on such a growth trajectory. I mean, I feel like there's so many things I can learn. I mean, every day I am almost blown away by the things I learn. And sometimes it's the most simple thing. And I'm like, why do I not know that? Like, how old am I? And there's just so much to learn, I find. And I mean, maybe I started behind most people, I don't know, but I just feel like it has been, I mean, there's just endless opportunities of things to learn, to help my own mindset, to help me be a better leader. Um, and I mean, there's things now I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back and parent, kid number 4. Now that I know this, like this would have gone way better. And I don't know. I just feel like it's endless opportunities for growth and learning.
Yeah, well, I think you can never be really comfortable feeling like you know
No.
anything,
Yeah.
because you're just, yeah, you're in for disappointment, because
Yeah.
every next level, you're like, wow, I thought I knew something then.
Right.
And I never even dreamed of all of this other stuff I've
Totally.
just, my eyes have been opened up to.
Yeah. I feel like it's just going to be like that until the day I die. I mean, and I have no idea, life is, it's such a journey, but I feel like just every day I'm like, wow, okay, that is so new. And I did not ever think of that. And then I'm always like, I wonder if I'm the only one who literally feels like they have just a life bucket of learning still to do. But I mean, I guess it's just the path we're on and I think some of us kind of love being lifelong learners as well. And probably lawyers, I would think, are high up in that lifelong learning just mindset. We tend to, I think, love to read and understand things. And so that probably contributes to some of this.
Yes, I always enjoyed the academic
Yeah,
part of being a lawyer, and I felt like I could have been in school forever.
me too.
Uh, yeah. So taking tests and things like that, they didn't really scare me. I
No,
mean, I
yeah.
panicked and I prepared, but it was still what I wanted to be doing.
Oh, completely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, people joke with me because obviously I've had to take 3 bar exams now. And so I've gotten, pretty good at taking the bar exam. And it's funny, like I actually enjoy it. I'm like, oh, fun. Like I could go study for, 8 months and go take the California bar exam, and just think that was fun and games. My family is like, you're so weird. But I find it all kind of interesting. I do. I love learning and I love the bar exam, especially the essay part, because all they want to know is all the issues. I don't have to know any of the answers really. They just need to know that I know all the issues and I can spot issues till the day is gone, but I don't know all the answers, but I know there's problems. So I have always enjoyed the bar exam.
Yes. Well, I've only taken one. I don't plan to take any other ones, but I do have there are other things and that I have, in the future that I am planning to do. So I don't know if maybe board certification is one, or if I
Right.
become a broker, or I don't know.
Oh, I can see you doing so many things. I cannot wait to watch your journey. I mean, you are somebody who just, I feel like really is gonna, I mean, you have no limits. I mean, and your interest in the entrepreneurial journey is gonna make it where, I mean, if ever you start to feel bored or kind of like listless about something, you're gonna find something else you're interested in doing and then go do it. And so, yeah, your family should definitely strap on for a fun ride because you are going to be that type of entrepreneur. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch for sure. I can't wait to see too what your kids will do. You know, somebody is going to pick up that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, you know what? I'm excited to see that too. I'm definitely the dreamer
Oh
of,
yeah.
my family,
Yep.
and my husband is very practical
Yep.
and just more engineer type.
Yep.
He's not an attorney. So we really balance each other out. And I'm like always up here, and he's always like pretty level.
Yep. That is exactly like my husband and I. We're the exact same combination, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah. Which is funny because engineers are sometimes the most difficult clients that I have.
Oh my gosh, I so agree with you.
Do you have a secret engineer price? I'm just kidding.
Well, we kind of do, yes. But I mean, I have all kinds of secret engineer. You know, I deal with high conflict divorce and custody issues. And I mean, there are people that come to me and I'm like, aha. I'm like, okay, we've got that emotional void that we need to fill with some knowledge here so that you can parent and understand what's going on in your family. Because, you know, sometimes they'll come and they'll be like, I have no idea why I'm getting divorced. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh yeah, it is very interesting. Yet I find my husband is super, he has a really high emotional IQ, which I think is not always common in engineers. And but it's very helpful. But I mean, he is definitely the steady, I mean, he was in the military for a bazillion years. Like he is super steady Eddie. He compartmentalizes things, he can handle things. So when I'm all over the place, like, oh, let's do this, let's do this. Oh, guess what I want to do today? You know, let's move to Spain and buy a villa or whatever. You know, he's just like, okay, honey, I'll think about that. And we'll talk about that again at noon. Like he's always just like Mr. Calm, and we're gonna have a plan. And he's learned to never say no though to me in that, which is pretty hilarious. Like he used to give me these looks like, what are we talking about? And now he has this like positive face and he'll be like, wow, that's a really intriguing idea. And you know, we need to consider this and this and this. And I'm always like, thank you for not starting with no.
Right, right. Yeah. I think my husband definitely he doesn't tell me no either. I think even though he's not the dreamer, I think he likes the possibility of where I'm going to take us next.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that
Absolutely.
he puts up with it, even though a lot of times I know he's thinking, yeah, I'm good on that. We don't need to do that. He definitely he'll entertain it. And he'll come back to me sometimes and he'll say, so how do you think that would work out? He wants to see how far I've thought it out,
Absolutely. Have you read any of the traction books, like Traction or Rocket Fuel or the EOS Life? I'm trying to think what else.
Yes. So I've read Traction, and I think that it's like building blocks. It's not something that 100% resonated with me right away
Oh no,
because
Traction is dry and horrible read.
Yeah, but the concepts there, I think, are going to help me as I add people to my team.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
that's important.
yeah. And I was thinking too, I mean, you and your husband are so typical of that visionary integrator, combination. With you being that dreamer type and him being more of the integrator, bringing everything kind of down to reality. I would really encourage you. There's a book, and if I can't think of it in the next 10 seconds, I'll actually send it to you, offline separately. But it's called like Keeping the Noise Out, or Getting Rid of the Noise. And it's about that combination of that first in command and second in command in your office. Because if you had a second in command in your office, I mean, I can't even imagine the strides you all would take, with your big visionary self, and then to have somebody who could actually bring those visions to life on the regular. I mean, it would be kind of unstoppable. And so, yeah, I will send you a copy, or, the name of that book and the author, because you'll find, I think it helps you understand even more about you and your husband too, because, those of us that are visionaries, we bring that kind of big thinking everywhere we go. And it's just what we do. We're like idea creators, and that's all great and dandy, but we're constantly buffeting the people around us, because we're like coming up with this big idea, and they just woke up today and they were going to do what they thought all along was going to happen that day. And all of a sudden we decided, we're going to start a new business today. And of course they should be excited about that.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely, I will give that a read, because one thing I've tried to do is not be somebody that comes up with an idea, gets really excited about it, and then abandons it.
Right.
Because it does take a lot of mental energy, not just for myself, but for the people around me to endure that all the time. So one thing that I really want to be an example of is just doing. And so for my clients, one of the things that I always tell clients is the ball is never in my court for very long. Right. I'm usually waiting on them. I'm waiting on the court. I'm waiting on somebody else, because when it comes to me, I do what I need to do and I move it forward. So I'm not trying to sit on cases, and it brings me no joy. It doesn't really bring me any extra money to do that either. So I'm always trying to move things forward. So I feel that, I feel the same way about these other ideas. When my husband proposed to me and I was going to be in that summer in Spain, I said, well, what if we got married in Italy? And he was like, okay, that sounds ridiculous. Okay. We're not getting married in a villa in Italy. Like we're like George Clooney. Okay. And then I was just like, no, I think we could do this. And then I did, within like a week, I had planned it, and I said, this is, and this is how we will pay for it. And this is, and I scheduled the whole thing out. And so I was engaged in February and I was married in July. And we didn't just like get married where we just went and, we were in traveler's clothes, and we had just like I brought a full wedding dress. I did the whole thing.
Yeah. I
So,
love that. Oh, see, you are one of those just real unicorns where, I'm going to send you so many things, because you are, a real unicorn of that merge between a visionary and an integrator, where you're able to carry through a lot of your ideas. And that is, fascinating. I love people like you. Y'all are just amazing.
Well, thank you.
Well, I have so loved talking to you today. I feel like I could talk to you forever. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some of these really great ideas. And I really, truly cannot wait to watch your growth and development and what you create over the next, I don't know, however many years you're creating. And And I just really appreciate your time.
Well, no, thank you for having me. And I really look up to you in a lot of ways. And I've told you this before. And so there's a lot that I can learn from you. So I'm just happy to share some digital space with you. And hopefully you rub off on me a little bit.
No, but there's a lot you of me you do not want rubbing off on you. You just go and complete things. And I will be that person that's like, can somebody please do this? Because I'm not going to be able to see this till the end. So I'm horrible about that. I mean, I joke that I am such a hot mess, but it's unfortunately not so much of a joke.
No, but you have done things that I want to do, and you have scaled successfully, and you're having weekends in bathrobes and going whale watching and renovating and all these wonderful things. So
yeah, well, it's definitely been a fun, interesting pandemic, that's for sure. And so, well, I really appreciate it. Good luck and have a wonderful birthday tomorrow. Are y'all doing something special?
Well, no, because it's not technically like a half birth. We just take one picture a day. I put
Oh,
him
that's cute.
in my office on my well, not a day. We do take one picture a day, but we take one kind of strategic picture a month.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
to watch the growth and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye.